AITA for walking out when my girlfriend tried to dump me on camera? My name is Jacob, I'm 29, and I work as an HVAC technician here in Milwaukee. Nothing glamorous, nothing impressive for fancy dinner parties, but it pays well, and I'm good at what I do. I repair heating and air conditioning systems for commercial buildings, mostly office complexes and malls. It's the kind of job where you crawl on roofs in 95-degree heat or freeze your hands off in January. But there's something satisfying about solving problems that actually matter. When the AC breaks down in the middle of summer, people don't care about your Instagram follower count. They just want to stop sweating. I've been doing this job for about 7 years now. I started as an apprentice right after high school. I worked my way up through certifications and field experience. I got my EPA certification, my NATE certification, everything that actually counts in this trade. My dad was a plumber for 30 years, so manual trades are a bit of a family tradition. He always said there is dignity in work that keeps your hands dirty but your conscience clean. I never forgot that. I met Olivia at a Brewers game in August 2020. My friend, Mark, who works in commercial roofing, had dragged me there because he had extra tickets. Good seats too, right along the third baseline. We ended up in the same section as a group of women, one of whom was wearing a yellow jersey and had a laugh that carried across 3 rows. We started chatting during the 7th inning stretch, and by the end of the game, I had her number. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant in Walker's Point. Nothing fancy, just good food and even better conversation. She seemed genuinely interested in my work. She asked questions about HVAC systems like she really wanted to understand. That was rare. Most people tune out as soon as you start talking about compressor units and the refrigeration cycle. But she listened, asked questions, and joked that I would be the guy capable of saving her if her apartment got too hot in the summer. The first 2 years were really good. We would go out to dinner at simple places around Milwaukee. She'd come over to my place. We'd watch movies on my couch, order pizzas, and talk until 2 a.m. Simple things, real things. She sometimes came to my bowling league, cheered when I got a strike, and made fun of me when I threw a gutter ball. Thursday nights at Landmark Lanes with the same group of guys I've been playing with since high school. Mark, my buddy Kevin, and a few other regulars. We had been playing on those same lanes for almost 10 years. We had our own lockers and knew all the staff by their first names. League night was sacred. It was the one night of the week where I could just be myself with people who had known me forever, where no one cared about social media, networking, or climbing any kind of ladder. We would play 3 games. We'd talk about sports, work, life, then go grab something to eat afterward. Simple, authentic. Olivia understood that, or at least she used to. I would sometimes meet her coworkers for happy hour after work. I listened to her stories about the PR campaigns she was working on. Normal relationship stuff. She worked at a mid-sized public relations agency downtown, handling communications for local businesses. Nothing extraordinary, but she was good at it and seemed to like what she did. We had a comfortable routine that felt natural, not like a chore, the kind of relationship where you genuinely look forward to seeing the other person at the end of the day. Her apartment was a cute little 1-bedroom in River West. She had decorated it with thrift store finds and plants she mysteriously managed to keep alive despite her supposed black thumb. I spent a lot of time there fixing her leaky kitchen sink, installing a ceiling fan she bought on sale, and helping her mount a TV on the wall. She always said she loved that I knew how to fix things, that it made her feel protected. I believed her. Around the 2.5-year mark of our relationship, in February 2023, something changed. She got promoted at her agency. New title, new responsibilities, a new group of people she started hanging out with. Senior account executive, bigger clients, bigger budgets, and above all, bigger egos at the office. That's when the remarks started. Little remarks at first. My Silverado was starting to look old. Didn't I think it was time to buy something newer? Maybe I should think bigger for my career, get into larger commercial projects, or start my own business. One of her coworkers had just bought a downtown condo. It wasn't impressive for someone our age. Another had started a consulting firm and was already making 6 figures. I let it go. I thought it was the stress of the new job. New responsibilities always bring pressure. I didn't realize she was comparing our entire life to the carefully curated showcases she saw on social media. Every time she scrolled through Instagram, she compared our relationship to filtered photos and carefully crafted captions. We didn't stand a chance against that kind of fantasy. The last year got worse and worse. She stopped coming to the bowling league. She called it tacky, said it really wasn't her kind of scene anymore. She spent more and more time on Instagram posting stories about brunches, networking events, and influencer meetups. Her phone became a constant presence between us, like a third person in the relationship demanding all her attention. At dinner, she scrolled through her screen. At the movies, she checked her notifications during the trailers. In bed, she stayed on it until near midnight, liking pictures and commenting on posts of people I had never heard of. When I asked her what was wrong, she coldly replied that I was being paranoid, that I didn't trust her, that I was insecure. Every attempt to talk about our relationship turned into an argument about my supposed jealousy. The arguments became more frequent. Little things made her angry. I would suggest staying home and cooking together. She would accuse me of never wanting to go anywhere nice. I occasionally mentioned a new certification I was considering for work. She replied that it wasn't ambitious enough. Nothing I did ever seemed to suit her. The guy she had fallen for at that Brewers game apparently wasn't the one she wanted anymore. She wanted the Instagram version of a boyfriend. Perfect hair, prestigious job, exotic vacations, expensive restaurants. That wasn't me, and it never would be. 3 weeks before that Friday night, things took another turn. She became distant, always texting, always shielding her phone screen. She tilted her phone when I entered the room, took calls in the bathroom or in her car. When I asked her directly if something was going on, if she was seeing someone else, she completely blew up. She accused me of being controlling, of not trusting her, of trying to monitor her every move. I backed off because I didn't want to be that guy. The paranoid boyfriend who snoops through phones and demands passwords. I trusted her, or at least I trusted the person I thought she was. Then suddenly, without warning, she insisted we go out to dinner at a place called the Metropolitan, a fancy restaurant in the 3rd Ward. The kind of place with cloth napkins and waiters who describe every dish like a work of art. Horrendously expensive, not my style at all. I had walked past it 100 times without ever thinking of going inside. She said it was important, that we needed to reconnect, that this dinner would help get our relationship back on track. I didn't want to go, but I agreed because I wanted to fix what was breaking between us. I wanted to believe that a nice dinner could bridge the gap that had widened over the past year. Looking back, it was stupid, but love makes you stupid sometimes. That Friday, I drove my Silverado downtown. The valet looked at my truck like you look at something that got lost and ended up in the wrong neighborhood. He handed me a ticket without even making eye contact. I felt out of place immediately. That should have been my first clue to turn around and leave, but I didn't. The Metropolitan was filled with dim lighting, small portions that cost $30, and menus longer than repair manuals. The kind of place where main courses cost what I make in half a day. Soft piano music played in the background. People in suits and designer dresses discussed things that seemed important but meant nothing to me. I was wearing my best jeans and a button-down shirt I had ironed that afternoon. I still felt underdressed. She had arrived early and taken a table right in the center of the room. Not discreet, not in a corner, right where everyone could see. I should have known right then that something was off. Why would anyone choose the most visible table in the restaurant for a dinner meant to reconnect a couple? Unless visibility was exactly the point. She looked different. A new dress I had never seen. Black, fitted, full makeup, professional hair, more effort than she had ever put into our usual dates. Hair pinned up, jewelry that caught the light. When I sat down, she smiled, but it wasn't her real smile. It was the one she used for Instagram pictures, the one where her eyes don't quite match her mouth. A practiced, empty smile, perfect for the camera. I ordered a Dr. Pepper. She ordered something sophisticated. We talked about our days. Superficial conversation that made it feel like we were two strangers on a first date rather than a couple of 3 years. Something was wrong, but I couldn't figure out what. Then I noticed them. Jessica, her college roommate, and Sarah, a friend from work, sitting about 15 feet away at a table that had a perfect view of ours. They waved enthusiastically, yelling about what an incredible coincidence it was. Oh my God, what are the odds we'd all be here at the same time? What a coincidence in a city with hundreds of restaurants. I looked at their table more closely. Both phones were positioned exactly right. Not face down on the table, not put away, propped upright, angled toward us. The recording apps visible on the screen, the little red dots indicating they were active. my stomach tied in knots. She was filming everything. Every word, every gesture, every second of what was about to happen. This wasn't a dinner to reconnect. It was a trap. The dinner started normally. We ordered. She got seared salmon with a reduction I couldn't even pronounce. I chose pasta because it was the cheapest thing on the menu that wouldn't make me look cheap. The waiter poured water into crystal glasses and brought bread to the table. Everything seemed to happen in slow motion as the puzzle pieces started fitting together in my head. She talked about work, about how she had been thinking a lot about her future lately. Not our future, her goals, her trajectory. The words felt rehearsed, as if she had written and memorized them. She kept glancing over at Jessica and Sarah's table, checking that they were capturing everything, that the cameras were rolling. Then came the speech. You could tell she had rehearsed it, probably in front of her bathroom mirror, recording herself on her phone, watching the video repeatedly and adjusting until she hit the perfect tone. The pauses came at calculated moments. The hand gestures were deliberate. It wasn't spontaneous. It was a performance for an audience. She talked about ambition, drive, growth, the need to be with someone who inspired her to aim higher, to want more, to push boundaries. Her voice had that artificial tone of an actress reciting lines she had memorized but didn't really feel. One of her coworkers had just launched a consulting business and already had 3 huge clients. Another had bought a condo in the 3rd ward and was talking about buying investment properties. Those were people going somewhere, people who refused to settle for comfort, people who wanted more out of life than just getting by. The implication was perfectly clear, even if she never said it directly. I was fine right where I was. I was satisfied with my HVAC job, my Silverado, my Thursdays at the bowling alley, and my weekends at the Brewers games. I wasn't ambitious enough, not driven enough. I was holding her back from becoming the person she was meant to be. She said she cared about me, that she always would, but that she didn't see a future anymore, that I was a great guy, but just not the right one for her, that she needed someone who matched her energy, someone who pushed her to be better, someone who understood her vision of life. Throughout her entire speech, I watched Jessica and Sarah out of the corner of my eye. They were struggling to contain their excitement. This was content gold. A public breakup in a fancy restaurant with a dramatic speech and, she hoped, a tearful reaction from the boyfriend who just learned his relationship was ending. Perfect for TikTok, perfect for Instagram Reels, perfect for any social media platform. I set my fork down gently on the plate. I wiped my mouth with the cloth napkin. The whole restaurant seemed to fade away around me. I could only hear my own breathing, my heartbeat. 3 years of a relationship, hundreds of memories reduced to this orchestrated moment for strangers on the internet. I looked her in the eyes. I held her gaze. I paused for 2 seconds that felt like 20. Then I simply said, "Good luck to you." For words, that was all it took. Her script hadn't accounted for this response. She expected me to beg, to argue, to make a scene, to cry, to plead with her to work things out, to give her the dramatic reaction she needed for her video, for her story, for her Instagram followers. She wanted theater. I gave her nothing. I stood up slowly, calmly. I took my wallet out of my back pocket, pulled out 2 $20 bills, more than enough to cover my half of the bill and the tip, and set them on the table next to my half-eaten plate of pasta. Then I headed for the exit without saying another word. I didn't look back. I didn't even look at Jessica and Sarah sitting there with their phones still recording. I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, walking past the other diners who had stopped their conversations to stare, past the frozen waiters holding their plates, past the host's stand near the entrance. The entire restaurant fell silent. You could clearly hear the piano music now. No one was speaking. Forks were no longer clinking against plates. It was as if someone had pressed pause on the whole room. Every person in that place watched me walk out, and none of them knew what to think. Behind me, I heard her voice crack. "Wait," she said. "Wait." But I kept walking. I heard her chair scrape across the floor. She was getting up. Jessica and Sarah looked confused, like they didn't know if they had gotten the shot they wanted, if this was part of the plan, or if something had gone wrong. Their carefully orchestrated content was falling apart in real time. I pushed open the restaurant door and stepped outside. I handed my ticket to the valet and stood there waiting. The cold October air felt good after the stifling atmosphere of the restaurant. I could finally breathe. The night sky was clear, stars visible between the city lights. Everything felt sharper, more real than it had in months. A minute later, I heard heels clicking rapidly on the sidewalk. Olivia burst out of the restaurant, almost running in her heels, her dress illuminated by the parking lot streetlights. She looked different, smaller. The confidence she had projected inside was gone. The actress had lost her audience. She caught up to me just as the valet pulled up in my Silverado. Engine running, headlights on. My exit was right there. Her voice broke when she reached me. The rehearsed confidence at the table had completely vanished. It was something else now. Raw panic mixed with disbelief. Her mascara was already starting to run. She was crying real tears this time, not the ones for the camera. "Wait," she said. "Just wait. You're not even going to fight for this, for us?" I looked at her calmly. "You just broke up with me. I respect your choice." She stepped in front of the driver's side door, blocking my way. She put her hand on the handle as if she could physically stop me from leaving. "You're throwing 3 years away just like that? Like it didn't count." "I'm not throwing anything away. You did that inside. I'm simply accepting reality." Her face twisted. Now she was angry, the tears turning into something else. "You know what? This is exactly why it doesn't work between us. You don't care. You've never cared enough about anything to fight for it. You always just give up. You're a coward." I looked past her. Jessica and Sarah had come out of the restaurant and were standing near the entrance about 30 feet away, watching the scene. Still holding their phones, probably still recording, probably getting even more footage than she had bargained for. None of this was following the script. "I'm done with this conversation," I said. "Of course you are, because that's what you do. You run away from hard things." "I'm not running from anything. You set up this whole charade. You picked the restaurant, brought your friends, asked them to film the entire scene. I'm not the one giving up. You're the one who wanted a show. And I'm not performing for you." I stepped past her, gently but firmly, and got into my truck. She stood frozen while I shut the door. Through the windshield, I could see her face. Total shock. This wasn't how it was supposed to go at all. The perfect breakup video had turned into a disaster for her narrative. I backed out carefully, checked my mirrors, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing in the parking lot, her arms wrapped around herself, as Jessica and Sarah slowly approached her. The excited energy they had in the restaurant was completely gone. I drove home through the streets of Milwaukee, which felt different, lighter. The streetlights seemed brighter. The radio sounded clearer. I parked my truck in my driveway. I went inside the house. I grabbed a Sprite from the fridge, cracked it open, and put on the Brewers game. They were playing the Cubs. Bottom of the 5th inning, tied at 2. I sat on my couch, drank my soda, and felt only one thing: relief. Like I had just dodged something much worse than a breakup, much worse than a broken heart. I had avoided becoming someone's content, the villain in the story she wanted to tell to get likes, comments, and shares. She wanted to turn our relationship into a spectacle, and I had refused to participate. 3 years together. And this was how it ended. A staged restaurant scene and phones recording in the background. Some relationships end with arguments, some with tears. Mine ended by becoming footage for someone's social media strategy. My phone started vibrating about 15 minutes later. Texts from her, calls one after another. I didn't read the texts. I didn't answer any of the calls. I just let them pile up. Before going to bed, I blocked her number. I slept better than I had in months. Saturday morning arrived quietly. At 10 a.m., my phone rang from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. I didn't even listen to it. I spent the day cleaning the house, doing laundry, and fixing a leaky faucet I had been putting off for weeks. Normal weekend stuff, the kind of productive Saturday I hadn't had in months because I was always wondering if Olivia would approve of how I spent my time. Sunday afternoon, another call from an unknown number. I let it ring, then blocked that one too. I recognized the pattern. She was using her friends' phones. Jessica and Sarah lending her their numbers, just like they had lent her front row seats for our breakup. Monday morning, 6:45 a.m., I was dressed for work, coffee in hand, ready to head out to my truck. I saw a car in my driveway that wasn't mine. Olivia got out of it. She looked completely different from Friday night. No makeup, old sweatpants, hair tied up in a messy bun. Dark circles under her eyes, like she hadn't slept all weekend. She looked exhausted. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we have nothing to talk about." I kept walking toward my truck. "Please, I made a mistake." I stopped. I turned to her, and set my coffee on the hood of my Silverado. You didn't make a mistake. You planned all of this. The restaurant, the cameras, your friends being there. How long did you work on it? 2 weeks? 3. She looked at her feet. She wouldn't meet my eyes. That's what I thought. You wanted to humiliate me, to make yourself look good on camera so you could post the video online and get validation from strangers. Except it didn't play out the way you wrote it. I didn't give you the reaction you needed. Tears started rolling down her face. Real ones this time. I was stupid. I listened to the wrong people. Jessica and Sarah said it would be empowering, that I deserved better, that I should make a statement by getting closure. I don't care what your friends said. You're a grown woman. You made a choice. You chose to humiliate me in public. You chose to film it. You chose all of it. We can't just talk about it over coffee or something. There's nothing left to say. I grabbed my coffee, got into my truck, started the engine, and backed out of my driveway while she stood there watching. I left her standing in front of my house as the sun came up over Milwaukee. That evening, my friend Mark called me. We've been friends since high school. He's the kind of guy who knows everyone and hears everything going around. He sounded uncomfortable on the phone. Hey man, I heard something today at the gym about you and Olivia. What did you hear? He hesitated. Apparently, someone knows her cousin. The whole restaurant thing was planned for over a month. She picked the Metropolitan on purpose. She told Jessica and Sarah what to film. She had a whole plan for it to go viral. She dumps you. You make a scene. She looks strong and independent. And boom. Thousands of likes, comments supporting her brave decision. Classic social media stuff. I stayed quiet for a moment. A month. She had spent a month planning how to publicly humiliate me. While I was working overtime to save up for a vacation I thought we'd take together, she was choreographing my humiliation. The thing is, Mark continued, you ruined everything by just walking away. By not reacting, now people are asking questions. Like, why would someone plan a public breakup? What kind of person does that? Her friends are catching heat too. People are commenting on their Instagrams asking why they were filming someone getting dumped. The narrative she wanted to control was slipping away from her, and it had nothing to do with me. I didn't even have to defend myself. The truth was doing it on its own. I decided right then to focus on myself instead of dwelling on what she had done. The next day, I called a friend from my bowling league. I asked if the Thursday spot was still open. He laughed and said, "Welcome back." I started going to a bar called The Hideout on Friday nights in Bayview, south of Milwaukee. Wood-paneled walls, neon signs, pool tables in the back, local bands playing on weekends in a corner that barely looks like a stage. The kind of place Olivia hated. Too loud, she would say, too crowded, too many working-class people, not her style, not sophisticated enough for her Instagram aesthetic. Perfect for me. The second Friday after the breakup, I went alone. I sat at the bar and ordered a root beer. A band was setting up their gear on the small stage. 3 guys with guitars and a drum kit doing sound checks. The woman sitting next to me at the bar smiled and commented on the music. They play here every other Friday, she said. Not bad for a local band. A simple conversation, nothing heavy, nothing complicated. Just 2 people talking about music. Her name was Emily. She taught 3rd grade at a public school on the east side of the city. She had been coming here every Friday for a year, ever since she moved back to Milwaukee from Madison. We talked for half an hour about music, life in Milwaukee, and the Brewers' playoff chances. Nothing deep, just a genuine conversation between 2 people sitting next to each other. When I left around 11, I felt lighter than I had in months. I didn't ask for her number. I didn't even try. I just enjoyed a normal evening without the weight of someone else's expectations. The harassment started the following week. And yes, I use the word harassment because that's exactly what it was. Tuesday morning, I stopped at my usual Dunkin' Donuts on Howell Avenue, the one I hit every morning before heading to the job sites. 6:30 a.m., half awake, just wanting coffee. I walked in, and there she was. Olivia, sitting in a corner, laptop open, mug in front of her. She looked up when I walked in. Her face took on a surprised expression, as if she were there by chance, as if this Dunkin' wasn't all the way across town from her place, as if she hadn't memorized that I came here every morning for 3 years. The coincidence was insulting. "Oh hey, what are you doing here?" "Getting coffee like you." I didn't push it further. I walked up to the counter, ordered my usual large black coffee, paid and walked out. I didn't sit down. I didn't chat. I just left. Through the glass, I saw her watching me leave, phone in hand. Thursday evening around 6, I stopped at Syndics to buy groceries for the week. I was walking through the produce section. I was grabbing some apples, and there she was. Olivia holding a basket with maybe 3 items in it, examining tomatoes like she was choosing gemstones. Our eyes met. She smiled. Hi. Funny running into you here. Yeah, funny. I went to the next aisle to grab some bread. She appeared at the other end by the pasta. The same aisle twice. This wasn't a coincidence, it was surveillance. I finished my shopping without saying another word. Went through checkout. Left. Wednesday of the 3rd week, I was on a commercial job site in Wauwatosa, a large office building undergoing a complete HVAC system overhaul. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of work. I was on the roof checking the condenser units when Dave, my supervisor, came up the access ladder. Hey Jacob, everything all right? Yeah. What? There's someone by the perimeter fence. A woman. She's been standing there for about 20 minutes staring at the building. I walked over to the edge of the roof and looked down. Olivia was down there, standing behind the chain-link fence. When she saw me looking at her, she waved. Truly acting like this was normal behavior. Like waiting 20 minutes outside someone's workplace was completely reasonable. Dave looked at me. A friend of yours? An ex-girlfriend who doesn't understand the word no. Dave's expression hardened. He was about 47, had 2 daughters, and 0 patience for this kind of nonsense. He went back down the ladder and made a call. 5 minutes later, building security approached the fence and spoke with Olivia. She gestured toward the building. Toward me. Security shook his head. She argued for another minute, then finally gave up. She got in her car and drove out of the parking lot. Dave came back up and told me that if she returned, security would call the police for trespassing. You need to take some time off or something? No, I'm good, thanks. That finally put an end to the physical appearances. No more surprise visits, no more run-ins. She had crossed the line, and even she knew it. Emily was at the hideout that 3rd Friday, sitting in the same spot at the bar where we had first talked. She smiled when she saw me, genuinely happy to see a familiar face. We talked longer this time. She told me about her week teaching 8-year-olds, the student who had brought his pet turtle in for show and tell, the parent-teacher conferences that went 4 hours longer than scheduled. I told her about commercial HVAC systems, fixing a compressor on a 90-degree roof with Dave and the crew I worked with. A normal conversation between normal people with normal jobs, living normal lives. We exchanged numbers before I left that night. No games, no waiting 3 days to send a text. Just simple and straightforward. I'd like to see you again. Me too. That same week, on Wednesday afternoon, we met for coffee at a place called Collectivo on Prospect Avenue, a lakefront cafe with windows overlooking Lake Michigan. We sat there for 2 hours. We talked about growing up in Wisconsin, our families, her teaching job, my HVAC work, and what we really wanted out of life. She mentioned her last relationship, how the guy made good money in sales but couldn't handle that she made slightly more than him as a teacher. How he made petty remarks saying she must think she's better than him, that she was too independent, that he felt emasculated when she paid for certain things. Sounds exhausting, I said. It was. People get insecure for the strangest reasons. They take it out on the wrong person instead of dealing with their own issues. The comparison to Olivia was obvious, but neither of us said it out loud. We didn't need to. For weeks after the dinner, Olivia launched her next move. My old friend Connor texted me on a Sunday afternoon. We had known each other since college and stayed in touch over the years. A good, straightforward guy. His message was simple. Hey man, what's going on between you and Olivia? Call me. I called him immediately. What do you mean? He sounded uncomfortable. Your ex is saying some pretty crazy stuff. She's saying you were controlling during the relationship, that you isolated her from her friends, that you got aggressive when she tried to leave. I've heard this from at least 3 different people this weekend. Figured you should know. My stomach dropped like I had missed a step on a staircase. She's saying what? Yeah, I heard it from a friend who heard it from Sarah. Then someone brought it up at the gym, and I saw something vague on Facebook from someone else. It's starting to make the rounds. I stood there, feeling sick. Controlling, aggressive, isolating. Words designed to make people doubt everything they thought they knew about me. Words that can follow you for years if enough people believe them. Tuesday, 3 more mutual friends reached out to me, each with some variation of the same question. What really happened? Is what she's saying true? Did you really do those things? People I had known for years were suddenly looking at me differently, wondering if they had missed something, if the guy they trusted was actually some kind of monster. Olivia was painting herself as the victim of a difficult relationship. She was saying I had manipulated her for years, made her doubt herself, put her down, made her afraid, that the restaurant was her moment to finally escape. Afraid of my reaction? And my calmness was no longer dignity. According to her, it was a calculated form of emotional manipulation. The silence, the cold distance, were apparently signs of controlling behavior. She had done her research, found all the buzzwords, and used them against me. It was all made up. But the problem with lies is that they spread faster than the truth. And some people, even good people, start to wonder if there isn't maybe a little bit of truth to it. After all, where there's smoke. I made a decision. I wasn't going to defend myself publicly. No response post, no statement. Defending myself would have given her exactly what she wanted. Attention, engagement, proof that she still mattered to me. The best response was no response. Emily asked me how I was doing that Friday at the hideout. How are you holding up? Could be better, I said. People are talking. Yeah, I know. For what it's worth, I don't believe any of it. Why? You barely know me. She shrugged. Because if you were really like that, I would have seen signs by now. Controlling men don't give people space. They don't stay calm during confrontations. They don't just walk away. They escalate conflicts, and you did the exact opposite. When she put it that way, it made sense. A week later, the situation started to shift. Someone had saved the original restaurant video before Olivia deleted it. It was posted on the Milwaukee subreddit with context. Woman plans public breakup for Instagram. It doesn't go as planned. The video showed everything. Her rehearsed speech. Jessica and Sarah's phones propped up recording. Me getting up calmly, putting cash on the table, and walking away without saying a word. The silence in the restaurant. Her chasing me outside. Everything, and now everyone could see it. The comments were ruthless. People were calling her manipulative, an actress. Some recognized Jessica and Sarah and started questioning their role. Why were they filming? Why were their phones positioned like that? Why did everything look so staged? Jessica and Sarah set their social media accounts to private. Sarah posted a vague apology, saying she regretted participating in something. She started distancing herself from Olivia. The friend group was falling apart in real time. Olivia tried to double down. She posted a long message on Instagram saying people didn't understand the whole story, that the restaurant was her moment to finally stand up for herself after years of subtle control. The post got about 14 likes, mostly from people who didn't know us. She disabled the comments after an hour. Mutual friends who had believed her at first started asking for proof, screenshots, anything concrete. She had nothing because nothing had happened. Week 7, Thursday night. Jessica called me. A real call, not a text. She's falling apart, Jessica said. She doesn't leave her apartment anymore. She only talks to me. I'm worried about her. I'm sorry she's going through that, but it's not my responsibility. I know. I just needed to tell someone. Why? What do you want me to do? Silence. Then she said, nothing, I guess. We hung up. Week 10, Sunday night. I was home watching the Packers game. Close game, fourth quarter. The doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Olivia was standing on my porch alone. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. I need to talk to you. There's nothing to say. Please, just listen to me. I sighed. You have 2 minutes. She took a shaky breath. I ruined everything. The restaurant, the lies, all of it. I was hurt and angry, and I wanted you to feel how I felt, but it all backfired. And now everyone hates me, and I don't know what to do anymore. That's not my problem. I know it's not, but I need you to know that I'm sorry, really sorry. I wish I could take it all back. You can't. I know. We stood there. She was waiting for something. I had nothing left to give. Is there any chance? No. You didn't even let me finish. I don't need to. The answer is no. No second chances, no forgiveness, no friendship. Just no. Her face crumpled. I loved you. You loved an idea of me. That's not the same thing. And what you did wasn't fair. You humiliated me on purpose. You tried to ruin my reputation when I moved on. Fairness doesn't exist here anymore. She stood there for a few more seconds. Then she nodded. She turned around, walked to her car, and drove away. I closed the door and went back to the couch. The game was tied. Over time, my phone buzzed. A text from Emily about lunch tomorrow. I smiled and replied to confirm. The game came back on. The Packers kicked a field goal and won by 3. Life went on, with or without Olivia's permission. 5 months later, my life was completely different. I got promoted at work. Lead technician on large commercial contracts, better pay, better hours, and real respect from the crew. Emily and I made our relationship official around the 4th month. No games, no tests, just 2 people who liked being together. We went to Brewers games. We ate at random places and spent weekends doing nothing special. She came to the bowling league with me and fit right in with the guys. Mark told me after the first night she came that I had finally found the right one. That's when things got interesting again. On a Tuesday afternoon, Mark texted me, "You're going to want to see this." He sent me a link to the Milwaukee subreddit. Someone had posted an update about the restaurant video. Apparently, Olivia's PR firm had let her go. The official reason, downsizing. But according to the post, several clients had complained after recognizing her in the viral video. They said they didn't want someone with that kind of judgment handling their communications. Jessica and Sarah had completely distanced themselves from her. Sarah had even issued a public apology on Instagram, saying she had gotten caught up in someone else's drama and regretted her choices. She didn't mention Olivia by name, but everyone knew who she was talking about. The comments were ruthless. A week later, I ran into Steve, a guy who used to work with Olivia at that PR agency. We were both at the same hardware store. He recognized me and came over to shake my hand. "Hey man, I just wanted to tell you that whole situation was really messed up." He explained that the whole office knew what she was plotting. Some had tried to talk her out of it, but she wouldn't listen. I appreciated him telling me. "She's going through a tough time," he continued. "She can't find a PR job in Milwaukee anymore. Her reputation is ruined. Last I heard, she was talking about moving to Minneapolis for a fresh start." I nodded. I wished him well. Then I grabbed my stuff and left. Month 6. Emily and I were at a Brewers game. Perfect seats along the third baseline. The exact same section where I had met Olivia almost 4 years earlier. Funny how things work out. Bottom of the 7th inning, I went to grab something to eat. I was waiting at the concession stand when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Jacob." I turned around. Olivia. She looked different, thinner, tired, no makeup, hair tied in a simple ponytail. Nothing like the perfectly polished image she used to project. "Hi," I said. My voice remained neutral. "I heard you got promoted." "That's great. You deserve it." "Thanks." She seemed uncomfortable. "I'm moving next month. To Minneapolis. A fresh start. Good luck with that." She flinched. The exact same words I had said at the Metropolitan. I didn't do it on purpose, but she clearly took it as a reminder. "I know I don't deserve anything from you," she said. "But I wanted you to know I've thought a lot about everything. About how I treated you, about what I lost." I took my food from the counter. "Okay. That's it. Just okay. What do you want me to say, Olivia? You made your choices. I made mine. It's over." I started walking back to my seat. She called out behind me. "Is she nice to you?" "The new girl." I stopped and turned around. "Her name is Emily." "And yes, she is." "Good. You deserve someone who appreciates you." I walked away without answering. I got back to my seat and handed the nachos to Emily. She asked me who I was talking to. "Nobody important," I said. "Just someone from a long time ago." Comment. I hope this story left you with a sense of clarity, just as it did for me. Sometimes, the most powerful response you can have is no response at all. Protecting your peace is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. You can't control the narrative someone else tries to create, but you can always control your role in it. You have every right to refuse to be a character in someone else's drama. True healing begins when you stop waiting for an apology and start building a life that doesn't need one. Remember that kindness also means being kind to yourself by setting firm boundaries. When you make space in your life by removing what hurts you, you create room for what heals you. Always choose your own well-being over the need to win an argument. I wish you all peace and the strength to protect it. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.